To the rest of the news on the local share market now, and earlier I spoke to Juliette Saly from CommSec. Juliette Saly, a retreat on the local market, even with a positive lead from Wall Street.
Yes, the retreat wasn't too significant though, Ticky. We had that great run coming through on the Australian share market yesterday, and what we saw today was pretty much what the futures index had factored in earlier in the day. So the market down by about 19 points. There were a couple of winners. Telstra was stronger, as was BHP Billiton, but really a bit of weakness coming through from the banks and a lack of economic data weighing on the overall share market today, and the ASX 200 index falling back below that psychological 4,700 point level.
Well, let me ask you about the finance sector, and we're going to be talking to the head of the Singapore Exchange shortly, but shares in its proposed merger partner ASX Limited have surrendered almost half the gains of yesterday. What's the thinking there?
Well, obviously the fact that there is still a lot of regulatory hurdles and political opposition to this deal saw investors really pull back out of ASX shares today. Yesterday they had that great run up on the merger and acquisition story. The ASX shares rising by almost 20% yesterday. But today certainly we saw quite a lot of selling coming through. There was some initial buying. We saw ASX shares actually hit a high of $40.87 today, but they fell by more than 7.5% or $3.08 today to close at $38.60. So certainly a big fall due to those jitters over the hurdles that the deal could face.
Now, Westpac has confirmed the positive tax impact of its merger with St George. What has that done to the share price?
Well, Westpac's share price actually eased today in line with most of the banks, but it was looking strong earlier in trade. Basically, Westpac saying this tax consolidation of $685 million that it reaped from acquiring St George Bank won't be part of its cash, official cash earnings for the year, and that's really what the market always looks towards. So I think that probably disappointed some investors, and Westpac shares were down 0.5% to $22.84, but generally there was weakness coming through from the banks. It was one of the worst performing sectors today, the financial sector.
Another one on the banks, Bendigo and Adelaide is looking to mop up the rest of Rural Bank.
Yes, Bendigo and Adelaide Bank today announcing it will pick up the 40% stake from Elders, which it doesn't already own, of Rural Bank. Now, it's a pretty good deal for Elders, and we certainly saw a big spike in Elders' share price today. Bendigo and Adelaide Bank will pay $165 million for the 40% stake, then a special dividend on top of that, which brings the total deal to around $176 million and sees Elders reap a hefty $27 million out of that. So Elders shares did very well, up 4.5% today. They closed at 69.5 cents, but Bendigo and Adelaide Bank certainly again weaker, along with that general weakness coming through from the financial sector, down around 1% today.
And lastly, Coca-Cola Amatil a little bit cool about any possible tilt on Foster's Brewing.
Yes, CEO Terry Davis today telling a number of investors that the Foster's beer business is simply too expensive for Coca-Cola Amatil. He can't make the numbers work on such a buyout. Now, he also indicated that the high Australian dollar is likely to deter any offshore companies from looking at Foster's beer business in the short term. But he did indicate overall the high Aussie dollar is doing good things for Coca-Cola Amatil. Coca-Cola Amatil shares, though, still weaker today, down more than 2%. They closed at $12.34.
Juliette Saly, always good to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Ticky.